listings, information on breaking news, and more bold-inspired solutions for America. Stay right here for our final news roundup and information overload in the final hour of the Sean Hannity Show.
My son's name was Joshua Wilkerson. On November 16, 2010, he was beaten, strangled, tortured until he died. He was tied up, thrown in a field, and set on fire. His killer, Hermilo Morales, was brought here illegally by his illegal parents when he was 10 years old. So he fit the dream kid description. Instead of getting Joshua home that day from school, we got an autopsy report that reads in part, this body is received in a gray body bag. There's a tag on his toe that bears the name Joshua Wilkerson. He is a white male, weighing 100 pounds. He is tied up with braided rope, 13 loops around his neck with a slip knot. It goes behind his back, through his back belt loop. It goes to his hands and his feet, behind his body. He has multiple fractures in his face and nasal cavity. His throat and his voice box are crushed. He was kicked so hard in the stomach that it sent his spleen into his spine and sliced it in two. So it was painful. The medical examiner said it was torture. This body has significant skin loss on his buttocks, his abdomen, his penis, his hands, and his face. He has one stick of gum and a tardy slip in his pocket. This was our family's 9/11 terrorist attack by a foreign invader, whether you want to recognize it or whether you do not.
This current issue right now, unfortunately, and it makes me sad that so many Americans just read a headline or look at a picture and immediately go with the rhetoric of how terrible these children are being treated, when in fact a lot of them are arriving at the border having been kidnapped and, you know, with sex traffickers. And we are actually doing a favor to these children, and I wish Americans would just take the time to understand these children needed the help that they got at the border, and thank God that the United States was there to help them. My son, a respected police officer, their fellow citizen, means nothing to them. None of the over 4,300 Americans that are killed every year by illegal alien criminals allowed to stay in our country. And we have senators and Congress members who are fighting for MS-13 gangs to remain here. There's over 900,000 convicted illegal alien felons roaming our streets. And this is where the problem has to stop.
We're signing an executive order. I consider it to be a very important executive order. It's about keeping families together, while at the same time being sure that we have a very powerful, very strong border, and border security will be equal, if not greater, than previously. So we're going to have strong, very strong borders. But we're going to keep the families together. I didn't like the sight or the feeling of families being separated. There's a problem that's gone on for many years, as you know, through many administrations, and we're working very hard on immigration. It's been just left out in the cold. People haven't dealt with it, and we are dealing with it. So step by step, just like we dealt with North Korea, we dealt with Iran, we dealt with an economy that was heading in the wrong direction, we dealt with a lot of different problems. This is one that has been going on for many decades. So we're keeping families together, and this will solve that problem. At the same time, we are keeping a very powerful border, and it continues to be a zero tolerance. We have zero tolerance for people that enter our country illegally.
All right, that was the president from earlier today. Glad you are with us. That's our news roundup and information overload hour here on the Sean Hannity Show. You know, there's so much to this entire issue that you never hear about. One, the headline on Drudge right now is Obama kept them in cages and wrapped them in foil. And yeah, they were separated from their parents. As we played I'll play it again in the next half hour, 22 times. You hear Obama saying over and over that my job as president to literally go with the laws that are passed and enforce the laws that are passed and execute the laws that are passed. Congress passed these laws. We have obligations in the executive branch to execute them, even if the results would be tragic. That's Obama saying all of that. And it is, fairly amazing that the president did what none of these other people have done, nor has Congress ever done to act on it. Another issue that you never seem to ever hear about in all of this, I sat through a briefing down in Texas with then Governor Rick Perry, and the security briefing chronicled, I'll even air it again tonight if you want, 642,000 crimes committed against Texans alone in a 7-year period, including, yes, the most heinous crimes, murders, and some rapes, and yes, those crimes too, as part of the 642,000 committed by illegal immigrants against American citizens. And while nobody wants children and parents separated, nobody wants it, the president fixed Congress's mess, but it's really Congress's job to fix this problem. And there's one answer, and the answer is securing the border. And the president is offered pretty much everything, DACA, putting in an executive order that probably won't hold merit. Even Obama recognized in a court, but he put it in place anyway today, and the Democrats are nowhere to be found because this is all about 2018 for them. Now, you also heard tape of Laura Wilkerson, who's going to join us in a minute, and her 18-year-old son, Joshua, who was brutally beaten, strangled, and tortured to death by a young illegal immigrant that would have been, quote, a DACA kid, and this happened in November of 2010. And most people don't know her name. I know her name and know her and have met her. And that pain is never going away either. Separation is absolutely horrible. There's nobody that disagrees with that. It was President Trump that was saying it from day one. But it was also the Congress that passed that law. And it was not him that signed that bill. And then you heard the words of Mary Ann Mendoza and her son, Police Sergeant Brandon Mendoza. He was killed May 12, 2014, a head-on collision. The driver, an illegal immigrant, high on meth, blood alcohol content over 3 times the legal limit. Think about that. How would you feel as a parent? The answer's obvious. Laura Wilkerson joins us. Mary Ann Mendoza joins us right now. Thank you both for being with us. And yeah, our thoughts and prayers go out to you. And there's many other mothers and fathers and family members that I have met and that I've interviewed over the years. And it seems, Laura, that nobody ever talks about this side of the debate. You lost your precious 18-year-old son.
I did. Thanks for having me, Sean. It's a separation like no other. I've heard people say, oh, well, mine was deported and we're going over there to stay for a month and we're Skyping him. I have no recourse to do any of that. I can never hear his voice again while I'm on this earth. I can never see his sweet face. It's a true separation. People don't understand the pain of that. Having said that, I do not want any family separated. I would give my life if someone tried to take my kid, and would have if I could have for Josh. That's just the way it is. So thank you, President Trump, for signing that executive order today and saying stop this. Now maybe Congress can get their behinds to work and write legislation that makes the immigration system work for everyone. It is time. They are hired by our votes, paid a lot of money to do this. It is time for them to do their job. Quit blaming others. This is legislation that they wrote years ago, and it is now being enforced. We don't want it enforced. We want good legislation that the president will sign that will benefit everybody and fix this broken system. We have
he's given more than I would have given. The Democrats say they care about kids. They say they care about the DACA kids. They won't lift a finger to help them. They won't lift a finger to stop the separation issue when they have the power.
Yes, the thing with Laura Bush, too, with all due respect, did she care about them when they're traipsed across the desert with a 100-degree temperature? Does she care about them while they're being raped or witness to it? Does she care about their parents and putting them in the trunk of a car? Does she care that they give, them to people they don't know to bring across the border? You have to care about them before they get to the border. They get here, and you cannot just excuse the fact that they were neglecting